you to Mike Pence. Thank you, everyone.
He's hours away from becoming the new leader of the free world. But why has Donald Trump's inauguration been called the biggest dynamic threat environment in history? We sent our special correspondent, Malcolm Nance, a career counterintelligence officer and author of Defeating ISIS, out to find the answers.
We saw overseas that ISIS and other groups were using drones with explosives. Could somebody buy a drone at a Walmart and attack the inauguration?
Well, absolutely they could, or they could build their own. So, and then leave no trace behind.
Dr. Scott White is a cybersecurity expert at George Washington University. He says with the Trump administration comes a whole new world of new age terror tactics. It also comes with a number of new targets. The First Lady, Melania, daughters Ivanka and Tiffany, and the president's three sons, Eric, Donald Jr., and Barron.
What are some of the threats that could come to this city and present a challenge to them and a risk to the First Family?
We're involved with combating ISIS. They've made it very clear on their social media that they're looking for individuals to strike. They've taken a lot of their Arabic lesson plans and converted them to English so as they can disseminate them to an English population here of American citizens.
Terror rears its ugly head in many new forms, none more frightening than the threat of a cyber attack.
How does that impact the security of the nation and this inauguration?
One of the things I'm concerned about in regard to cybersecurity is we have a very kind of traditional terrorist activity, whilst at the same time we have a cyber attack against hospitals, telecommunications system, trying to maybe take the power grid offline.
Think about the chaos it would cause if someone hacked into the electrical grid. It would be frankly very dangerous. The stampede alone to get out of there would probably be dangerous enough.
Dan Bongino was Secret Service elite during 3 administrations: Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama.
Donald Trump's inauguration is going to be a massive security effort. In effect, witch's brew of security nightmares. It is the Secret Service Super Bowl. It's the most dangerous event you're probably ever going to be a part of, threat level-wise.
That's Bongino in 2009, tasked with an adrenaline-inducing responsibility. As President Obama walked part of the route, his life was in Bongino's hands.
It's a zero-error environment. It was probably a matter of nothing more than 10 minutes maybe before he was in and out of my zone. It seemed to last an eternity, because you're just saying, all right, please get out of my zone with no problems. You have to keep your head on straight. What am I going to do now if this guy does this? What am I going to do if a chemical agent's released? What am I going to do if somebody drops a grenade off that building?
Bongino wrote the book on life in the Secret Service, and he's giving Crime Watch Daily rare insight into what it's like to protect the next president of the United States when he's paraded in front of the world as a moving target.
They have to plan for what we call the Big Six: tactical assaults, medical emergencies, chemical biological attacks, explosives, airborne assaults.
36 separate law enforcement agencies, plus 3,000 additional police, and 7,000 National Guardsmen will employ what they call a 360-degree protective spear. An impenetrable multi-layered buffer zone. 1,500 buildings along the parade route have been secured. But Bongino says with Donald Trump as new commander-in-chief comes new security concerns.
The protest activity during Trump's campaign was particularly violent.
Dozens of groups representing an estimated 750,000 people have applied for permits. Not all, particularly government anarchists, are expected to play nice. Listen closely. In this audio recording, you can hear anti-Trump protesters reportedly planning to shut down the event.
We're going to be blockading checkpoints into the security zone. We're also going to be blockading roads and other modes of transit into the city.
And this undercover video catches a group allegedly planning to drop a stink bomb of butyric acid through the ventilation and sprinkler system at the inaugural ball.
And this stuff is very efficient. It's very, very smelly. It lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way.
No one has been charged in these reported plots, but Bongino says the threat alone creates a huge responsibility for the Secret Service.
The Secret Service has 20 different evacuation plans for the president and the president-elect on Inauguration Day. It's the general population that's just going there to enjoy the event. They're the ones that get put in real danger because it's very hard to control an out-of-control crowd with all of the police assets in the world if something were to break really bad.
On the ground, security forces have to consider radical terrorism's latest weapon of choice, the soft target tactical assault, a massive death mission with the use of trucks. We've seen it in Germany and France.
You could just plow into a crowd and kill potentially hundreds of people and garner the same amount of terror response. I mean, you need high speed to do this kind of thing. So you have to create hard barriers to vehicle entry, whether it's sand trucks, whether it's vehicle obstruction type devices.
And there's always the threat of the lone wolf, whether it's the ISIS-inspired Orlando nightclub shooter Omar Mateen or John Hinckley, who tried to assassinate President Reagan.
These are what I would call the unpredictables. These are the X factor people. These are the people that never showed up in your radar before.
And that is the greatest threat, is someone who's experiencing a degree of mental illness that has become violent.
How do you go after that individual?
So, without giving all the secrets away, there'll be bomb-sniffing dogs, counter-sniper teams, there'll be observation teams posted. There'll be people working the crowd, looking for behavior that's inappropriate.
Yes, the threats are real, but the greater reality, this nation can boast the greatest security minds hard at work, determined at all costs to shield the public from danger.
I can't emphasize to you enough for the security entities involved in this. This is their Super Bowl. They've got all their first-string wide receiver, their best quarterback, the best players getting to play in the Super Bowl from the best teams.